Hello and welcome. My name is Robert Lewers, and the reason I'm holding up this book is I'm going to encourage you to read this because I think you might just enjoy it. The book is called Seth, and it's about a young boy in medieval England who has a lot of adventures, who has a great time meeting people, including meeting a prince, and persuading the prince that what it might be a good idea is for him to become a great king rather than just a prince. He has adventures where he meets bears. He has an adventure where he's chased by wolves and is saved. He has adventures where he's locked in prison but manages to get himself free. And he has adventures, one of which is central to the book, which is in the forest one night. Terrified, he meets a man called the Captain, who is the leader of a group called the Black Riders. And the Black Riders at that stage are spreading chaos and confusion through the kingdom, trying to, if you like, unseat the king, unseat the prince. And in this encounter, Seth manages to persuade this captain, who is a good guy and a bad guy, manages to persuade him not to kill him by telling him the story of the lion and the mouse. And the lion's about to kill the mouse, and the mouse says, "If you let me free, then I will one day free you." And the captain likes that story. It appeals to his sense of humour. So what he does is he lets Seth go free. And without spoiling it, in the end of the story, Seth manages to honour his promise to free the captain. So it's a story about a young boy growing up in difficult circumstances. He's orphaned and he's living with an aunt and uncle who he doesn't like, and they don't particularly like him. He has a good friend right throughout the book, a red-headed girl who is his friend and his mate, and who he has conflicts with, but they're great. And one of the other things which is part of it is that Seth, at the start of the book, is crippled in one leg, and so he has crutches. And that, I think he thinks, may make him not have adventures and not be heroic and not be the person that he wants to be. But he overcomes that and manages to live the life that he wants to have. And so you might say, what is it about me, a 75-year-old man, writing a book about a 9-year-old crippled boy in medieval England? Why would I want to do that? One is simply because I enjoy writing. But if I examine my past, then I'll find that, if you like, the seeds of the story are in my story. And the seeds of that for me were very simply that when I was about 9, one day my legs simply stopped working. I had had measles, I climbed out of bed and fell flat on my face. And when they examined me, they found out I had a thing called polio, which was quite common then. You don't have to worry about it these days because of vaccinations, but back then it just meant that my legs stopped working. And so I had about 3 or 6 months where basically all I could do was lie in bed and not do much more than that. No TV, remember, no mobile phones. But what my parents, who were wonderful parents, did was to keep up a supply of reading material to me, comics and books and more books. And so I read and fell in love with reading. And as well, what I fell in love with was heroic stories. So I read a lot about Davy Crockett from the Wild West. I read about Rob Roy McGregor in Scotland. I read about William Tell in Switzerland, who was famous for shooting the apple off his son's head. And I read, of course, about our own Peter Lalor here in Ballarat. So I read heroic stories, and if you like, there I was, a small boy in bed, not really able to do much, but still, if you like, dreaming and believing it was possible that heroic deeds could be done by heroic people. And so when I became a writer, which I did some years ago, suddenly what I found was that, if you like, the seeds and the germs of the stories were there, and they were waiting for me to pick them up and work with them. So, Seth, this is going to be a series, this is going to be the first one of, I hope, a whole series of books about Seth, about him growing up to be a young man, and of trying to be and trying to become the best possible young man he could become. Whether he's heroic or not, we'll have to find out. I do hope that you'll love reading the book as much as I have enjoyed writing it, and that you'll look forward to perhaps reading Seth 2, 3 or however many I get to write. Thank you for listening to me, and as I said, I just hope you really enjoy reading Seth. Thanks very much.